Okay, so the signings continue. We've got some games to talk about. A New Jersey in Los Angeles. New Jersey's new kits in New York yesterday as well. As they're saying in Pittsburgh right now, you can't win them all if you don't win the first one. A little bit of a surprise there. We'll get to all of that, plus more games on the board around the NHL. This evening, welcome to the sheet for this Wednesday, October the 8th. Glad to have you aboard today. Let's get right to the Blueprint because I want to bring on our first guest as he joins us each and every Wednesday here. And the Blueprint is powered by FanDuel. Make every moment more with North America's #1 sportsbook. That is FanDuel. Coming up on the program today, Brian Burke is standing by. We have a lot to get to with Brian. It's been a busy week of business, things that Brian Burke knows all too well. Nick Alberga will stop by from Leafs Morning Take. The Maple Leafs open up against the Montreal Canadiens ce soir, comme on dit en français. The Kyle Connor contract, we'll get into that. Too much, too little, or right in the sweet spot. We'll talk about more contract fallout, specifically from the Connor McDavid deal. We mentioned third jerseys and the Maple Leafs opener tonight. Plenty to get to, and we'll kick it all off with our man, Brian Burke, who joins us each and every Wednesday here on the sheet. Brian, how are you today?
I'm good, Jeff. How are you?
I am doing very well. Thank you for joining us, by the way, from a restaurant closet. I know you have a big appointment coming up at the bottom of the hour, but this just shows your dedication to broadcasting and a love of hockey. Or maybe should I flatter myself, but you have so much of a love for me, you'll even do the show from a closet.
You could thank Gavin from 11 for letting me use the closet or office, whatever it is. It's quiet, at least so far, so it works for me.
True or false? When you started with working with the NHL, what we now know as the Department of Player Safety, that used to be what your office looked like. It was tiny. There was some VCRs and a couple of tapes kicking around. Is that true?
Well, when I first started, we were on Park Avenue, and then Gary moved us to the bigger office. So when I went over there to the bigger office at 1139 Ave. Mm-hmm. That's where we had the Glenn Adama was the broadcast guy. Yep. We had 4 VCR. I had a nice office, but the nook where the broadcast stuff was tiny. And I had 4 VCRs. Yep. Glenn Adama would come. We'd pick the game we wanted to record, and we'd set it for 7:10 or 7:20. The game would start at 7:10. You never had a suspension in the first 10 minutes. So you'd start the tape at 7:20 and then pray it didn't run out.
So then if that Tampa, Florida game that we saw on Saturday would have happened back in 1993, Scott Sabrin wouldn't have had a 4-game suspension because there wouldn't have been video evidence of it.
Well, we probably would have taped that game, but no, you would have had evidence of that because everything. You had 2 hours and 10 minutes or 2 hours and 15 minutes of record time, run time.
Yeah. So
you'd set the thing for 2:15, hit go at 7:20. You'd catch most of the stuff. A couple of times, Peter Forsberg suspension for Billy Guerin's slash.
Yep.
That one we would have almost missed because of overtime. Late in the game, the goalie was out. But in general, we got most of the stuff. And we had to, every once in a while, we'd have to bury a tape so Gary wouldn't see it.
The stories never end. I want to get to the McDavid deal. I want to get to today's 2 big signings, Matthias Ekholm and Kyle Connor. Connor with the Winnipeg Jets, of course, and your thoughts on some of the action, other hot button issues. But since we started talking about it, your thoughts on what we saw on Saturday, and even though I know you don't like to play this game always, but if you were the sheriff around the NHL, if you were George Peros, how would you be looking at that game that we saw on Saturday?
Look, John Cooper crossed the line. I love Cooper. He crossed the line. He got fined. The team got fined for it. Significant fines, too, $100,000. That's not a small fine. That's when your owner notices. And so they got 2 suspensions and 2 bounces. That's enough for me. Move on.
What did you think of the game itself? I mean, it got underway early. Well, there was casually there was a game. There was they in between the fights, they sort of skated around, and Florida scored a bunch of goals. Every time the puck was on Tampa's stick, it seemed like it was a rectangle. But that one, it feels right now, Brian, like fighting is coming back to the NHL. And toughness is coming back to the NHL. The way that I've tried to describe it is it's a pendulum theory in that for the longest time, post-lockout 2005, the premium was on skill and skating, and that's all well and good, and we all love it. But that was this sort of pendulum overcorrection from the 4-hour brawl games. And now, because pendulums always overcorrect to get to their balance point, I wonder if now we're coming back to the balance point of we don't want 4-hour games, but also we don't just want pretty passing. We want something in between. And I kind of get the feeling that we might be there now.
I think you've just summed up exactly what I've been trying to say less articulately for the last 2 years. Nobody likes pillow fights, and that's what the game's become. We love the skill, but it's a pillow fight. And I love the fact that Florida and Boston and a couple other teams have brought some toughness back into the game. There's nothing wrong with keeping the game high skill, high entertainment value, high speed, but add in some toughness and some retaliation and some fighting. So I love what Florida, I think, has made it fashionable, and now it's a copycat league. More and more teams are following suit. So I love it. I think it's great.
The interesting thing about Florida and Tampa, I was mentioning this on the show yesterday. I'll spring the same analogy on you as well. The thing that I think impresses a lot of people about both these teams is that when one of their players gets hit, legally or otherwise, everybody attacks. Like right away, no questions asked. Doesn't matter if you're a fourth line guy. It doesn't matter if you're like Nick Paul or you're Anthony Cirelli. If you're first there, you attack. Like everybody does this. And the way they do it, we saw this with the Panthers. We saw this with the Tampa Bay Lightning. All the guys on the ice will fight like they're the third monkey on the ark when it starts to rain. They go hard and fast at whoever has done the fouling.
Yeah, I don't like clean hit fights all the time. You know that, Jeff. I think when I played, and I don't want to go back to 3-hour games, let alone 4-hour games. I'm not a dinosaur, but I like some fighting. I like my team in Anaheim. We had a good balance. We fought when we should. We didn't fight when we didn't have to. It was a good blend, and we stuck up for each other. I don't like clean hit fights. If it's a clean hit, when I played in the American League, I got decked. Someone would say, "Keep your head up, rookie." That was it. No one would fight anyone. Now, you used to have clean hit fights for two guys, the star player and the goalie. And they've always protected those two guys. Wayne Gretzky never had to stand up for himself. Someone else always did it. But it's kind of more widespread. We'll hit a balance on that too.
I know you loved Brad May. You tried to bring Brad May wherever you went. That's not a secret. I remember asking one night when I was working with Brad, we were up for a drink afterwards, and I brought up this idea of the automatic fight after a big hit, even if it's clean. And he said something to me that I can't stop thinking about. He said, actually, it's tactical. And I said, what do you mean? He said, after there's a big hit, the team that does the hitting gets a big emotional charge. And he said, if my guy gets hit and I go in and I fight right away, what I do is I kill that momentum. He said, what I'm trying to do out there is make sure that other team who just hit my guy doesn't get any momentum, doesn't get any charge after running over my guy. I was like, Mayday, I've never heard it described that way. What do you think of that comment, Berkey?
I think there's some validity to it, but the problem is it penalizes good hits. We want good hitting rewarded. Like we say we want more fighting, but we want big hits too. Big hits have gone the way of the dinosaurs. We want big hits. So to have a fight every time you throw a big hit, if you're not a good fighter, you say, well, I'm not going to hit. I remember when Dion first came to Toronto, he laid someone out against Ottawa. I forget the player's name, French name. And he had a big fight afterwards, and he didn't fight. He said to me afterwards, do you want me to fight there, Dion? Because Dion's not afraid. He'll fight anyone. He said, do you want me to fight there, Burke? I said, no. Clean hit, no penalty. Don't fight. Don't take that fight. But I see there's a balance. The hit that started the whole fight the other night, that was a big-time hit. That was one that you always want players to fight there. That wasn't just a clean hit. He obliterated that guy. So I had no problem with that one.
Okay, from fisticuffs to putting pen to paper. We'll start with Connor because that's the big contract of the week. I can't remember a player ever doing this. Like we're all scratching our brains. I know that, Gordie Howe, once when he started in the late 60s, realizing how underpaid he was with the Detroit Red Wings. He got sour, and rightfully so, and that led to him going to the WHA for more money. But I can't think of any player in Connor McDavid's stature of the game, best player in the game, coming in so under market as Connor McDavid just did. What were your takeaways when you saw that? Like, we've had a couple of days to think about it. What do you think of what McDavid did for Edmonton?
It's the same thing Sid did in Pittsburgh. I can't believe Sid's not getting any credit for doing this 2 years ago. It's the same thing, $8.7 million. It's actually pretty close to the same percentage of the cap. If you go 12.5 versus 110 or whatever it is, versus 8.7 and 89 or whatever the cap was, it's pretty similar percentage. To me, this is not a first. Sid did the same thing. I mean, the reason he's not getting as much credit is because Pittsburgh wasn't as close. Edmonton is close, and the benefit should be immediate with the Wally contract. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden now, Jake Wallstrom signs for a fair deal, use up most of that unspent cap dollars. It's very real, but I think what Sid did was very similar.
You know, it's interesting that you bring up the defenseman there, because many are looking at, Jake Wallman and saying, Jake Wallman one day is going to take Matthias Ekholm's place on that blue line. And then today the announcement comes that Matthias Ekholm has signed a 3-year contract extension. $4 million is the AAV on this one. Now, the length of it, you could quibble about. You probably want it to be a 2 if you're the Edmonton Oilers, but we're really splitting hairs here. $4 million for a second pairing defenseman. I know by the end of the contract he'll be 38 years old, but that's a good number for a second pairing, good rugged defenseman for the Edmonton Oilers. Like, if that's the way this thing plays out, that's a really good number.
I think it's a good number and good term, because the player has been hurt and will get hurt again. I think it makes sense. I don't think it's a big hometown discount. I think it's a sensible number and sensible term for the player, where he is age-wise and where he fits in. But it looks good. People are looking at this saying, well, hometown discount. I don't see it that way.
Mm-hmm. The other one today, Kyle Connor signs the 8-year deal. There's a lot to this one. 8-year deal, $12 million is the AAV on this one for Kyle Connor, Winnipeg Jets. For the longest time, ever since the Atlanta Thrashers moved from Georgia to Manitoba, we kept hearing they're going to have a hard time retaining talent. Kevin Cheveldayoff's going to have the hardest job in the NHL. They're not going to be able to get players to stay. Scheifele stays, Hellebuck stays. Go right up and down that lineup. Guys do stay, and guys do make a commitment to the Winnipeg Jets. Your thoughts on this one? Is it, it'd be like Three Little Bears on this one. Is it too much, too little, or just in the right spot for you?
I thought he'd get a little bit more, but I think it's fair. It's certainly a lot of money. I think the key is for Winnipeg is that people have to understand it's a wonderful place to live. And if you're an outdoorsman, it might be the best place to live. And married guys love Winnipeg. Single guys, it's not the exciting nightlife you'd see. Paul Maurice said, you're not going to get your cappuccino or whatever he said. Yeah. And it gets cold. Yeah, it gets cold. Some people like cold weather. I like cold weather. People ask me, do you have a place in Florida? I'm like, why would I get a place in Florida? I like cold weather. So the difference is Chevy's done a great job there. Mark Chipman's a great owner. People want to play there. It's a great city. People think they have a chance to win there. It's no surprise to me that Kyle Connor has stayed at what I think is fair money. I think he could have got a little more, but I think it's fair. And it's a good statement that Winnipeg is a place to go and a place to stay.
Bracket Connor McDavid through all of this, but you look at the Kaprizov deal, $17 million, Kyle Connor deal, $12 million. I know you say he probably, could have got more here, but if he goes to market, the Detroit Red Wings pony up 14. Who's to say? But in the old model with the old salary cap, these salaries seem exorbitant. But are we in an era right now where next year the cap is, as announced, is 104, but we all expect the salary cap to be closer to 107 next year? Do we just need to recalibrate our thinking about what $17 million means and what $12 million means in the new reality, in the new marketplace? Like right now, it seems more like teams are just trying to make sure they hang on to their players as opposed to how much they're paying them. They'll sort out the payment stuff afterwards. They just want to retain talent.
I agree. I think it's really important right now that you get your players signed. Kaprizov, the comments the owner made are the same ones he made when he signed Suter and Parise. He said we had to have the player. We had to say same comments. I think people now, it's all about keeping your talent, not losing it on July 1st. I think these are big signings, but people have to get used to the higher figures because right now people are saying, "Oh, Kyle Connor, he's not worth $12 million." Yes, you're goddamn right. He's worth $12 million right now. Yeah, that's what they're worth. These star guys.
In a $107 million salary cap universe, he's worth $12 million, and that's when the contract
that's going to be low. Start. If this keeps going up the way it is, it's going to be a low signing. It'll be player friendly in about 2 years. Now, there are some local revenue concerns I have that might quell the growth of the cap, but not in the next 12 months.
You know, what it sort of leads to is we'll get ahead of ourselves here, and we're all standing by now for the Jack Eichel contract, which we all expect to be with the Vegas. We expect the Vegas Golden Knights to announce at some point here a Jack Eichel contract extension. I don't think he gets to market next year on July 1st. He's happy there. They want him there. It's a hand-to-glove relationship. What I wonder about, okay, so Berkey, the salary cap's going up next year, 104, 107, quibble about what it's going to be. Who's going to be available? You know, Eichel's going to sign here. You're looking at Martin Natris and Adrian Kempe and Artemi Panarin and Rasmus Anderson and Alex Tuck. And who knows who's going to sign between them. Are we going to go into a situation next year where everybody's got money and they don't have anyone to spend it on?
Yes. Everyone's going to re-sign their players. But the thing that's going to scare everyone is $17 million. So is Natchez going to get what he would have got a year ago? No. What he would have got 2 months ago? No.
Yeah.
He's going to get more than that. But they're going to keep guys, and they're going to keep them, and they're going to overpay to do it, overpay based on today's money, what we think of today's money, and the market's going to move again. Jack Hughes is going to be underpaid. Luke Hughes will be underpaid on their contracts. Jack already is. You watch.
We talk a lot on the show and other places about compensation and comparables and salary cap and what's this player worth and how they're going to do this contract. This is something that you would know better than really anybody on our network. When a new general manager comes in or a new coach comes in, how do you do the contracts? Like none of the salaries are public, unlike the NHL Players Association and the NHL. How do you do contracts for general managers? Like, what are the ranges? How do you do a deal? Is it just get the most that you can get? Like, how does it work for coaches? How does it work for managers?
Well, there's a market for coaches. The amounts that are paid are shared. I'm not sure directly. They used to be shared in quartiles. So the league would publish a thing that said the top 6 coaches make X average. The next 6 or 8 make X or Y average. So you had some sense. But you could call guys up and say, hey, what did you give, what did you give Torts in his last deal? So you have a marketplace. GM's a little trickier. You have to distribute that information. You have to call guys and find out what they make. And you have to trust that they're going to give you accurate information. But that's a little trickier.
So would you know then how much, like, while you're managing, like you're managing the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Anaheim Ducks, like, do you know how much, do you have an idea of where you're at on the pecking order of what GMs are getting paid?
Yes. I used to keep real detailed information about that. Guys would sign, I'd call them and say, tell me what you make. So I could tell what I could make. I could help other guys if I needed to also. Yes.
One follow-up on coaches. I remember coming out of the 204 lockout and someone saying, it was a coach who said to me, you know, this salary cap is going to be really bad for coaches. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, you know, it used to be that before you fired a coach, you used to hear, oh, I owe him a trade. Before I fire this coach or make a move on this coach, I got to try to shake up the team a little bit. I owe this guy a trade. And then obviously, you know, the salary cap got full. And coaches, and we see this every summer, end up walking the plank because either, trades are too hard to make, everyone's got their salary cap commits done. If you're going to change anything, you move off the coach. Do you think we're getting into a place now with so much room and so much of an ability to make moves, even though every team's loaded up with no trade clauses, that it might be a safer environment now for coaches with teams moving into having so much salary cap space?
It may be. What you described is accurate. Back before the salary cap, it was accurate. You could make a deal. You could say, look, I'm not firing the coach. I'm going to make a trade and see if that helps, or make two and see if those help. And then it got to the salary cap. But the salary cap's been around since 1998, right? Isn't that when it came in?
The hard salary cap is 2005, after 204, 205
Sorry,
lockout.
after the lockout. Sorry, 2004.
Yeah.
So after the 204-05 lockout, that was the first year I worked in a salary cap. We've been doing it for 20 years. So it's not that big a deal, folks. It's something we're all used to. Now, I think the impatience of ownership has been legendary and stupid. Coaches don't get enough time to see if they can win. They don't get to figure it out. That's what's encouraging about the last two extensions in Alberta. The two coaches are said you get a chance to finish what you began. And that to me is critical. I don't know if it's salary cap linked or not, it may be, but it's about time owners were more patient with GMs and coaches.
To some of the action, last night was interesting. You can't read anything to the first game, and you can't read anything really into preseason. But Pittsburgh goes into New York and wins. Dan Muse wins as his first game as a head coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins. We saw the Colorado Avalanche just take apart the Los Angeles Kings. And Cale Makar pulled a move on Jeff Malott high ice yesterday, which was spectacular. And then before that, we saw the Florida Panthers just barely get by the Chicago Blackhawks. Frank Nazar was outstanding with goal and assist in that one. After night one, anything catch your eye yesterday other than maybe just that Cale Makar move that everyone's talking about?
Well, I thought Geno Malkin was the best player in all three games. I thought Malkin was outstanding, and he's a great kid. He's a great guy. I love him. But he's had a couple of years where his performance has just been okay for me. I thought he was really on his game last night. Watched all three games. I thought, and watching the Blue Jays when I could. But that was tough. That was a tough one. I love the Blue Jays. I'm pulling for them. But they're watching the three games. The best player that I saw, I thought Nazar was good, but I thought Geno was the best player on the ice. What is he, 46?
He's not young. Well, the thing about that Penguins line, and we saw Justin Brazeau score early. That line is massive, right? So they're playing Malkin with Brazeau and Anthony Mantha. Like, these guys are all like 6'3". Like, that is a giant line.
Philadelphia Eagles offensive line.
Yeah.
That's a big line. But Brazeau's a good player, too. And I think Bertuzzi is really underrated for me. I like that line. But last night, that's the one thing that stood out. Cale Makar is a great player, but nothing he does surprises me anymore.
Yeah.
But Geno, after a couple of years where I thought, okay, he's really settling down, I thought he had jump. He had a lot of poise. He had a lot of joy in his game. I liked him.
What was he? I mean, you were there. You and Ron were there to do that last deal for Malkin. How was he to deal with?
He doesn't do anything. He just says in the tie. He pretends he speaks really good English, but he pretends he can't. They say, Geno, we have to talk to agent. I don't understand. He understands everything. Let his agent do it. He's not that concerned about it. So he said he was worried about getting traded at the end. He was never worried. That's not what he does.
Mm-hmm. Was there ever a consideration? We had always assumed that those three were dyed in the wool for life, bell to bell, stem to stern Pittsburgh Penguins. Was there ever any consideration while you guys were there?
Yes, we talked about trading both Tanger and Geno if they wouldn't take pay cuts, but they both did. Mm-hmm. And so to me, I said to Ron, we want to keep the band together. We want to see what we can do with this group, but they have to take pay cuts, and they both did. So there was no serious consideration because they were both realistic and reasonable to deal with.
Would those have been easy deals to make?
No, they weren't.
I mean, hang on. Let me phrase that properly. Would it be easy based on the marketplace that was out there? We all know that, listen, who doesn't want Malkin on their team? But like, how big a marketplace at that point was there for them? Or did he even get that far?
We had a top GM, one of the guys we both Ron Hextall and I both respect, like in the top 3, maybe top 2, tell us that he was going to offer 5 times 9 for the defenseman, for Tanger. So to me, 45 was a starting point. A second GM told us he would have offered 5 times 8 or 4 times 9, so 36 to 40. That's about what Tanger came in at, was around 36, I believe. So he came in on the low end of the expectations of what we were told teams were going to get paid for.
Right.
And he's a great kid. He's been a great player, great Penguin. So that made sense to us, even though the last couple of years probably won't age well.
Before we let you get to your lunch meeting here, quick thought on one of the games tonight and just a focus on these two teams. I love it when Montreal opens up against Toronto. I'm of that vintage where that is still the rivalry. Your thoughts on how both these teams fare this season?
I'll be there. I'll be at the game. I'm going to be I was at the skates today, but Toronto went early. And Montreal didn't skate, so I sat in the rink by myself for 2 hours. Had a real good time. Got cold. I'll be there.
You said you like cold. You said you like cold, Brian.
It's a great rivalry. It's still just to see those two uniforms on the ice against each other. It's worth going to see the original 6 teams play each other. Yeah. So I'm excited. I think Montreal's going to be a lot better than people think. Their finish last year was no fluke to me. And they've gotten better. I'm excited about the game. I think they're 2 premier teams.
Looking forward to this one. Brian, okay, we'll let you escape from the closet. Thanks to all the fine folks at 11 for allowing you to borrow their closet here for this hit.
Thanks, Steph.
Be good. There he is, Brian Burke, who joins us every Wednesday here on the program. Glad to have Brian. No matter, Zach, no matter where he is, he's done it from restaurants, as we see today. He's done it from closets. He's done it from his bedroom. It's hockey everywhere around these parts, Zach. Hockey everywhere around these parts. Want to welcome in, by the way, a new sponsor to the program here, and that is Prime Video. This segment, a presentation of Prime Video and Monday Night Hockey, your exclusive home to the NHL, streaming games nationally in Canada every Monday. Prime Monday Night Hockey opens next week, October 13th, with a doubleheader. It'll be Detroit and Toronto, followed by St. Louis and your buddy Robert Thomas in Vancouver. Also on Prime Video, Faceoff Inside the NHL Season 2. Subscribe with a 30-day free trial to Prime Video to watch Monday Night Hockey and the new season of Faceoff. Download the app or go to primevideo.com. And you know what I got yesterday in the mail, Zacharoo?
What'd you get?
Andy Petrillo's new book. Just Call Me Andy, Sports Stories from a Trailblazer. So looking forward to seeing how often my name is in this one.
Is that what you do? You get these books and you're like, how many times did you mention me?
No, listen, I've known Andy for a long time. Listen, I used to watch Andy do OJHL games. Like, she's been, and when you talk about people that have earned it, that haven't taken the elevator but have gone up the stairs, that's Andy Petrillo. And I still remember when her first real burst on the scene was when she was working with Leafs TV, anchoring all of their programming, and you could just see right away, like, okay, yeah, this one's going to be a star. It's just an absolute star. And she's branched out to so many different things. And can I tell you a quick Andy Petrillo story before I bring Nick Alberga on? So her wedding was in Claremont. Okay, home of the Binder Twine Festival, home of the McMichael Gallery, and I know you love when I mention the Binder Twine Festival. What?
McMichael's Kleinberg.
Oh, sorry, it's in Kleinberg. What did I say?
Claremont.
Oh, sorry, Claremont. Like,
Opposite sides.
is beside me here in Stouffville. Sorry, Kleinberg, home of the binder twine.
Yes.
So they had it at a place called the Doctor's House, which is famous for hosting weddings. And so was talking to Andy, and we're talking about blah blah blah, television this and television that. She's like, when we start the wedding here in the chapel, I want you to start your watch. I'm like, what? This was like, this is how you can tell like Andy's a TV person. So things get underway. I click on my watch to get the timer going. And no joke, by the time her and her husband are walking back down the aisle, it's 22 minutes. And she sort of walks by and she goes, what time? I go, 22. She goes, half-hour show. Told you. This one's a half-hour show. Never forgotten that one from Andy. You can tell, like, okay, this is TV. Is it going to be a 60 or a 30? Now it's going to be a 30. With stop sets and promos, it's going to be 22 minutes. Okay, let's go. That was a fun wedding, too. I do respect that. I respect that one a lot. So very much looking forward to reading Andy Petrello's new book. And looking forward to this conversation as well. I was kind of enjoying the sort of countdown and the prelude to Connor McDavid joining the Toronto Maple Leafs from Nick Alberga, host of Leafs Morning Take. And that all came crashing down the other day as a discount of all discounts was signed by Connor McDavid. But nonetheless, how are you feeling before we get into the Maple Leafs? Great hat, by the way. Before we get into the Maple Leafs and their game tonight against the Montreal Canadiens and the rest of the season, etc., how did you handle the news?
Marek, I thought this was brilliant by Judd Moldaver, Connor McDavid. He just devised his exit plan out of Edmonton. That's effectively what he did here, okay? So my countdown has gone from 269 days to now 997 days when Zack is going to be a free agent, when Austin Matthews is going to be a free agent, when McDavid's going to be a free agent. I honestly, I'm not shocked. I actually credit McDavid quite a bit. I mean, that's pretty surreal stuff. Like, imagine that room when you find out that cap hit the best player in the world, and then you look at Kirill Kaprizov. Guy's going to be in an island for a couple of years now.
I understand you did the same thing in your talks with the Nation Network as well. To make room for Rosie, you came in at the deep discount to make room for Jay. Is that true? Want to confirm or deny that one here?
No, I will confirm that. I'm a team player, and I want complementary pieces around me. It's similar to beer league. I'm only good if I have a good center like Zach Phillips on my team, and that's when I tuck. So I can confirm.
Listen, when you talk about being a team player, here's what you have to understand, and always remember this saying. You hear team player with sports teams, specifically hockey, obviously. There's no I in team, Nick, but there's two I's in invoice. Always remember that. There's two I's.
There's me too.
And there's a me. All right. What do you think of this year's edition of the Maple Leafs? And not to bias the jury, but I look at this year's team and I say they're not going to be as flashy and put up the points like the team has done while Marner was part of the power play, but they are, much like the Buffalo Sabres in some extent after the Paterka deal, a more balanced team. Does it feel that way to you?
I'm wearing our playoff tees right now, and I'm getting a lot of heat in our chat. People are like, let's move on, let's move on. I got a new slogan, Marek, just for you to unveil here on the sheet. All right. Addition by subtraction. I think you know where I'm going with that. I love this team, okay? I think there's a lot more depth. I think it's unfortunate Scotty Lawton's banged up to start this year. I just like the fact of having that fourth line with the potential of Lorentz, Lawton, and Easton Cowan on it. I think it's going to be a work in progress anytime you bring in that many new pieces and you take out one big monster piece who's now in Vegas. It's going to take some time to mesh. Like, that's a big question for me heading into the opener. Austin Matthews, Matthew Nyes, Matthias Michelli, what's that going to look like? In the small bits we saw in the preseason, pretty decent, but obviously it's a transition period for Nyes and Matthews. Like, I mean, Michelli's a good player, but he's not Mitch Marner. But all in all, like, considering what they had to deal with, them being the Maple Leafs this past summer, I think they were efficient with their cap space, and we'll see how it looks.
It's an interesting team, and all eyes are always on the team where the sun shines the brightest, I suppose. What are the expectations for this squad? Like, for the longest time, we've looked at teams like Toronto, and you say to yourself, the regular season in a lot of ways is meaningless because all the answers are in the postseason. But now in a universe without Mitch Marner, are there regular season questions again? about the Maple Leafs? Because for the longest time under the Core 4 era, regular season was just let's just get through the 82 games and then be done with it because all the answers are in the postseason. Do we still say that, or are there questions that you have about the regular season with this team?
Personally, I don't think there are. I think a lot of people out there wondering if the Maple Leafs are going to make the Stanley Cup playoffs. Newsflash, they're going to make the playoffs. I understand the questioning. You take 100 plus points, whatever it was, out of this lineup and try to insert it elsewhere. It's going to be difficult. But I think they got the same crease, albeit, I mean, some uncertainty right now with Joseph Wall, so I understand that. I like the blue line. I think find me a team the last time a team brought back all 6 of their D. Like, that's pretty crazy stuff. I know Craig Berube was asked about that the other day. But I think it was really, really solidified with the Brandon Carlo addition. And up front, I think they have more depth. I think for 10 years now, we've been talking about the Maple Leafs being a top 6 heavy team, everything there. I think there's more depth, especially now once Scott Lawton comes back to the lineup, maybe Easton Cowan finds his footing. I think they're going to be a harder team to play against. I know it's cliche to say that, but I think up front is the last place they wanted to solidify in terms of gaining depth. Like, they've done that. I mean, credit to Brad Treliving, the blue line, the crease, and now up front. I always like to bring this up. When the Blues and Craig Berube won the Stanley Cup, Alex Steen was on their 4th line, and you could tell right away that's exactly what Berube's trying to do here in Toronto, is spread the wealth and have depth and believe in all 4 of his lines, right?
Who's the sleeper here? Like, who's the one player on this roster that you say everyone's sleeping on this guy? Who's that guy?
So funny enough, like last year was Max Pacioretty, who, I mean, Zack could tell you I was vouching for this guy day one of camp, and I thought he was just really, really important. I'm going to go along those lines since you brought this question to my attention. Dakota Joshua intrigues the hell out of me. I think he can play that Max Pacioretty role this season. Nobody's really talking about him. He could be a physical guy. He could drop the gloves now and again. I think he can score. He's obviously going to start in the 3rd line here in that type of look. You know, who knows if he gets promoted up the lineup at bits and pieces throughout the season. But he's just a guy who intrigues me because last summer, if you recall, everybody was talking about Dakota Joshua. Vancouver can't let this guy go. Everybody's interested. And then just it was a difficult season, starting with the cancer scare and all that. And then coming back, you're up against it, you're chasing the season. And so that's why I think Dakota Joshua is going to have a bounce back year. I think it's a really good fit in that lineup. And again, I just like that there's familiarity as well with Craig Berube. He knows what to expect out of the player since he had him with the St. Louis Blues.
I think you and I have talked about this next player before, and I just don't. I know everyone's saying all the right things. But given how Morgan Rielly needs to play to be successful, can he play that way with Craig Berube and a Craig Berube system where, and you know this, Nick, you watch, like, you follow everything. Like, Berube wants his defenseman around the net. Like, that's it. Like, your job is to be around the net. Morgan Rielly's game is galloping. Is there room for a galloping defenseman, Craig Berube's blue line, or is this going to be another awkward season for Morgan Rielly?
I think you could pick your spots. My recency bias tells me that Morgan Rielly is still a good defenseman. Like, in the playoffs, he was much better. If we recall going into the playoffs, he looked much better.
Game 7 against Florida was a tough one, though, for him. That was a tough one for him.
It was. Like, I think there's going to be those moments, and it's unfortunate it was Game 7, that type of moment, but the entire team stunk after the first period, so I get that. But I think you got to pick your spots when you're a guy like Morgan Rielly, and I did envision a bit of a transition period, but it's been a couple years since he really hasn't been himself. Like, we were talking about on At Least One Take today, his career high 72 points now, 7 years ago. What level can he get to? He had 41 points last year. I think if you polled most Leafs fans, 50 to 55 points is a good sweet spot for Morgan Rielly, but it's the all-round game, and I think like most offensive D, if you want to call him that in this league, you have to pick your spots and find your moments. And I do find like Rielly, as the year went on last year, especially in the second half into the playoffs, started to play better. I'm not sure at this age if he has it in him to be that guy who he was 5, 6, 7 years ago. But I think the biggest key from a Craig Berube standpoint, just don't be on the ice too frequently when they score, right? Like I think defensively, there's always going to be a question there with Rielly, but definitely can improve here.
Have you seen William Nylander's YouTube channel?
I have. I gave it a look. I will say, like, if there's one player who can cope with this and not have it become a distraction, it's Willie Nylander. Like, I was watching the Amazon series, and that's great because he just teed up the new sponsorship with Amazon. Like, I love Nylander. If you like, we've talked about this before, Marek, with all these polarizing players in Toronto. The growth we've seen in Willie Nylander since he was drafted, since he was a young player wearing, I think, number 39. To now, he's the it guy. I mean, he's everything to this team.
In a lot of ways, and as we all know, Toronto has a history with Swedish hockey players going back to Börje Salming and Inge Hammarström. He seems perfectly suited for this market because I don't think he's affected by criticism whatsoever. Like when you talk about like, oh, tune out the noise, guys will tell you tune out the noise, tune out the noise. For the majority, you don't believe it when the players say, oh, yeah, I can tune it out. Not a chance. Yeah. But for Nylander, you look at it and you say, this guy's bulletproof. This guy's criticism proof. He's throwing himself out there like wandering around in nothing but his dry fit shorts around rinks in Sweden. On this YouTube series, I get used to seeing big shirtless Willie because that's what it seems like this whole series is going to revolve around. But he's like impervious to criticism.
Guy's always in a wife beater. Always in a wife beater. And I think anytime a player tells you, and I'm sure a billion players in their careers have told you they don't pay attention to the media. There was a guy in Vegas. Like, that's a prime example of somebody who can handle the heat and somebody who can't handle the heat. And sometimes you got to move on in life. Like, I just think you look at Nylander specifically, he's a guy who has grown so much, not only as a player, but in terms of how he conducts himself on a daily basis. Like, even Craig Berube, just speaking ad nauseum about their relationship, said he's a complex guy and he's interesting and like he brings so much to the table and he's got so much talent. But that's the best aspect you could have if you're a professional athlete in Toronto, is like turning the page quickly and just looking at the next shift. And yeah, I've just been so impressed, and I'm looking forward to this YouTube channel in general.
It should be a lot of fun. How do you look at the Atlantic this year? Like, quick couple of snapshots here, and then we'll let you get on with your day. How do you see the Atlantic? I mean, I've been saying, are we coming back from Niagara Falls on the Florida Panthers? What does Tampa have left here? I never count out Tampa. It's the fool that bets against the Tampa Bay Lightning. How do you give us a sort of Nick Alberga snapshot of the Atlantic right now?
It's funny, I was laughing. We did an entire hour show today, barely mentioned the Montreal Canadiens, which I feel bad for because they're a pretty up-and-coming team. I wonder how they go from like the hunter to the hunted, I should say. I think it's a different sort of aspect to look at, and I wonder if there's a bit of a negative regression when it comes to Montreal. I think it's pretty much status quo. Like I know I took some heat on social media yesterday because I called the Ottawa Senators to win the Atlantic Division, but I think Linus Ullmark is the key there. If he plays more like the guy in Boston and not like the guy who's eating popcorn for the majority of last season, I think they're in good hands. I think Sanderson takes another step. So I think Ottawa is an up-and-coming team. I know Zach Phillips is going to hate that, but I believe in the Sens. I love Travis Green. I think he's a good coach. Detroit got no clue what the hell they're doing there. I still don't. It's the same convo every year. Buffalo, they're missing again. I think.
Hey, by the way, is today a bad day for Detroit with Kyle Connor signing that extension?
Hell yeah! I've been trying to think like, when are they going to bring like a Michigan guy home? Right? Is it going to be Hellebuck? Is it going to be Rowensky? Is it going to be Connor? And it's not how it's James Van Riemsdyk. Okay, he's not even from Michigan. They couldn't get Pacioretty to come home. Pacioretty's like, nah, I'm retiring. But yeah, I think in general, you look at the division. I think Florida's going to be an animal still, even with these injuries. They're so committed to what they've built there. Tampa's Tampa. They're a really good team. The best coach in hockey, pound for pound, and John Cooper. The Leafs are a good team. I think Montreal's a really good team. I think Ottawa's a good team, and it's status quo for the others. Like, I expected Buffalo to show up at some point in the offseason, do something. They didn't. Detroit, same type of conversation. So yet here we are on the eve of another start of the season here.
I'll tell you what. I'm glad you mentioned Buffalo. Just one quick pause here. Again, like I don't want to keep on pounding on the Buffalo Sabres, but if you're watching or listening to us live here, in 16 minutes, we're gonna find something out about the Buffalo Sabres. If Alexander Georgiev clears waivers at the top of the hour, we're gonna find out here in 16 minutes.
If
the question, hang on. I don't want to bias the jury here. If he clears waivers, To me, the question is about the Buffalo Sabres right now as they are being run. Why was that a contract and not a PTO? Again, we're 15 minutes away from finding out this answer. Because if nobody else around the league wanted him, why was that a contract and not a PTO?
Hey, great question. UPL's got to stay healthy. I think that's important for them. And Tage Thompson, a big year for him. I think, right now, if you're Buffalo, you got to be thinking, like, how much losing can this guy take? And I don't want to forget Boston. I did not mention the Boston Bruins. I think they're going to bounce back. I think they're going to be more difficult than people think. They got McAvoy. They got Lindholm back in the mix after injury-riddled seasons. Jeremy Swayman, there's a reason why this guy was paid that money. He was awesome a couple of years ago against the Maple Leafs, and he's a really good goalie. So I forecast a bounce back there. Pasternak as well. So it's shaping up to be a really tough year. Every game is going to be difficult in this division again.
It will. Real quick, final couple of thoughts here on the Montreal Canadiens. The Dobson move is the biggie. That one before the draft, they paid handsomely for it, but now all of a sudden, Hudson and Dobson will be separated, so you can have, essentially most of the game with either Dobson or Hudson on the ice. If you're the Montreal Canadiens, that's a luxury. I think the Bolduc trade was one of low-key the best deals that we saw all summer long. 20 pops as a rookie, like, holy smokes, this kid is good. And French-Canadian kid, played with the Quebec Ramparts, they're going to love him in Montreal, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How do you see the Habs? Because I always talk myself into them being like, I've just loved all the moves that they've made, and I have to temper myself by saying this is still a team that is in the process of rebuilding.
It's exactly it. I don't know if this is a bold take, but I think Montreal misses the playoffs. Like I don't know
how. I don't know how.
I know, but it's one of those things where you go, and we see it every year. You go from the team that's hunting to the hunted, and I think that just plays a different dynamic where it's like every night you're not going to sleep. Like, teams are not going to sleep on you anymore. Like, I think Montreal, that was a big story last year. Like, here come the Habs. I know they're getting better, but they're sneaking up on their opponents. Like, I think they're a good team. I think it's quite clear. I don't know if they're waiting for 87 to make a decision, but up the middle, 2C, I think there's a massive hole right there on the blue line. I think you're so right. Lane Hudson, we'll see what happens here with the contract over the next couple months. The Dobson pickup, very, very underrated. I think in general, and you hate to anoint everybody or anybody, I should say, a winner, because not much happened. And I think every time that happens, like case in point, last year, Nashville was the quote unquote winner and they stunk up the joint last year. Getting Noah Dobson was a top 3 move of the offseason. I will go down and say that was one of the worst off seasons in NHL history, bar none. I love my trades and activity. There was nothing, but the Dobson pickup was huge for Montreal. So I think from that aspect, they take a step, but I just have this eerie feeling that it's going to be much more difficult than they think there.
We shall see, and it'll start tonight. Toronto Maple Leafs hosting the Montreal Canadiens. All right, thanks, bud. Continued success, and great job taking the haircut for Rosie.
You as well. Take care.
It's the best. Nick Alberga right there. And he was one that broke the Pacioretty to Michigan news, by the way. Much to the chagrin of some people who refused to believe that it was happening, as I understand it. But nonetheless, bravo to Nick Alberga. Where are you at, Philly, on the Montreal Canadiens, the opponents for your vaunted team tonight?
That's the team that I disagree with Alberga on. I think that they took a step. I think that they're ready to kind of continue to build off of what they had. You inject Demidov in for a full season. You inject Noah Dobson in for a full season. It changes the outlook. Question mark on them for me is, what the hell will Patrick Laine be? What is he going to be? Because we saw
guy
him
that can
taper
shoot
off significantly.
Guy that can shoot. He can be like, okay, you know how a lot of veterans, let me just jump right in here. You know how a lot of veterans by the end of their career, and I'm thinking of a couple specifically, Jerome McGinley and Paul Correa, they just turn into the one-timer on the half-wall guy. Power play runs through my stick. One-timers on the half-wall, one-timers on the half-wall. It feels like Laine's got there earlier. Early in his career.
Which you probably shouldn't be at 27 years old.
No.
Especially as a guy trying to fight your way back into, for lack of a better word, relevancy. That's where you came in, you lit the world on fire. People in Montreal loved you, and by the end, they were kind of like, "What are we doing? Why is he like? Why are his legs straight, Jeff? We're on the back check pushing for a playoff spot, and he hasn't sweat yet today. What are we doing?" And I think that that's kind of a concern because when the goal scoring slows down, and then the people of Montreal who are passionate and intelligent and really notice everything, they look around and they see him with 2 hands on his stick and it at waist height, and he's not scoring. It turns quick. And like the final thing I'll say on this one is I don't know how it'll start and how it'll pan out. I sent you the lineup the other day. Patrick Laine was on the 4th line right wing. I don't know if it stays that way or where it goes.
We'll see tonight.
That does not bode well for him and for his motivation, let's say. That's concerning.
Or for his chance.
But the rest of the team, Montreal, I am.
Listen, I'm cheering for Joe Veleno. Like I want Joe Veleno. Like if it's not going to happen in Montreal, a part of me just says like, is it going to happen at all? I'm really hoping big things for Joe Veleno. Okay, time now for our Ninja Crispy question of the day. But first, this message from our friends at Ninja Crispy.
Meet the first of its kind, the Ninja Crispy Portable Cooking System. The power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hand. So you can cook big or small batches. Just prep it, crisp it, serve it, and store it all in one.
You know who was in the Ninja Crispy last night? You know who was in the Ninja Crispy? Jeff Malott.
Were you getting after it?
Jeff Malott. Was it? No, not me. He's sitting there on my couch watching hockey games. After what Cale Makar did to him. Anyway, meet the first of its kind, the Ninja Crispy Portable Cooking System. Now you have the power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hand. Prep it, snap it, crisp it, serve it all in one container. This glass air fryer is PFSA free, thus no harmful chemicals while cooking. It includes a small 6-cup and larger 4-quart Tempware container. Whether you're whipping up quick-style, single-serve meals in 7 minutes, sharing crispy snacks on the go, or serving a crowd, the Ninja Crispy makes it easy. Cleanup is simple. All accessories are dishwasher safe and designed to nest for easy storage. Check out the link in the episode description or go to sharkninja.ca. What do we have for the QOD today, Zacharoo?
Sometimes you just have to take accountability and put your hand up. Accountability is not something that people in Toronto necessarily have been that familiar with over the last little while, but I'm going to start the train here. I did not get on the question of the day early, so today's question is a little half-assed, I'm just going to be honest, but we did get some good responses. Okay, so I will give credit to the chat and to those who responded.
Thank you,
Today's
chat.
question of the day, how much do you think Connor McDavid's contract impacted Kyle Connor's new deal, if at all? So quickly here, there's a poll up in the chat. 58% of the chat says not at all. 25% say maybe, but just a little bit. 17% said yes, it impacted it. He could have gotten way more. I do have a couple of written responses here, but just quick thoughts there, Jeff, on the poll and maybe your own input on whether or not you think this impacted it.
No. Not at all. I think this was always going to be a $12 million deal for Kyle Connor, and it got there. You know what the Connor McDavid contract did impact? Like, where do you think the biggest impact of outside of the obvious, the Oilers now have, extended their window to win, and Stan Bowman has, a lot more money to throw around as he goes shopping. I wonder about Alex Tuck, by the way. You know what this contract really impacted? What? Well, I can't just throw that in for spice.
I'm just thinking about the people from Buffalo. They haven't even played a game.
Look, man, Tuck hasn't signed there. His wife's from out west. I know. Two and two. You can maybe go win there. I'm sure the Oilers would be interested. I'm not the only one to mention. Stauffer's mentioned this before. This is not breaking it. No, but getting back to it, you know who this has impacted the most?
Well, I would say like Ekholm,
Nope.
Ullman, them getting deals done.
Nope.
Kaprizov, who's sitting there at 17 on an island.
Nope. You know this has impacted the most so far?
Who's that?
Media. Because now every player is getting asked their thoughts of Connor McDavid coming in at 12. Hey, Austin Matthews, what do you think of Connor McDavid coming in at 12.5? Like it's the right thing to do. I'm not criticizing local reporters for doing it. It's the right question to ask because you never know when you're going to get like a really unique and interesting answer from a player who may have strong feelings about it. I'm not criticizing it, but dude, you see a contract like that? That's like reporters' catnip. Oh man, my job is easy today. I don't care if you're a Rangers reporter or you're a Flyers reporter or a Blackhawks reporter or a Stars reporter or a Kings or a Sharks or a Vancouver Canucks reporter. Your first job is, hey, superstar X, what do you think of what Connor McDavid just did? And it's an instant story. It's one of those stories where every single reaction to it becomes a piece of news. It's guaranteed. It's that big a story. So the biggest effect so far for the Connor McDavid contract, media. And again, not saying that it's wrong. It's the right thing to do. But the biggest winners, us. Selfishly.
It's true.
Oh, look, there's my navel. We won this one. We're just
what do you think Leafs Morning Take let off with today?
Everybody, but they should.
Yeah.
They should. Like every single show. Like, honestly, this is like, okay, put your feet up. Here we go. We're talking about that. Here's another angle on the McDavid contract. Absolutely. Anything from the chat you'd like to share?
No, there's just a couple that were thrown out here. Yotes fan on Twitter, Yotes 1.0 fan said McDavid's contract significantly impacted Connor's contract. Mitch and Mikko are both better and make less. I disagree with that. I think that's just, as you and Berkey talked about, changing the times. We're in... that's all. Yeah, it's
recalibrate.
Just contracts changing. We're moving.
Recalibrate.
Yeah.
Like you could. Hang on. Let me a quick little glance at something here. Do you know who his numbers? Kyle Connor, that is. Do you know his numbers resemble? So Kyle Connor has played 613 games in the NHL. Okay. The one comparable I want to bring up to you, he's played 614 games. Okay, 1 game difference. Kyle Connor has scored 284 goals. This player has scored 253 goals. Kyle Connor's compensation is $12 million. The player that I'm thinking of makes $7.8 million for another year after this. Do you know who I'm thinking of?
No, I'm trying to rack through my head right now. The numbers versus the contract. Who is this?
Alex DeBrincat. More similar than they are different. And Alex DeBrincat is 27 years old. Kyle Connor is 28.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Changing the times.
This is
more money.
A new reality we're going into where we need to stop saying, oh, this guy's overpaid. That's a bad deal. That's too much money. Not based on where the cap is. It's not. Even Matthias Ekholm, like he's a first pairing guy with the Edmonton Oilers. You know, maybe by the time this contract ends, he's going to be a second pairing guy. But even if he's not, when you look at his contract, $4 million, it's probably what third pairing guys are going to be by the end. You know, like if you look at, I said this earlier with the Matthias Ekholm deal, it's probably 1 year too much. But I don't think it's going to look that bad considering where the cap is. And who knows? Maybe he gets allergic to his equipment. I don't know. Marian Hossa, Jan Volpat style. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. The other thing is, like, if it was really... If we're going to really, like, talk about Connor's contract impact... Rephrase that. McDavid's contract impacting Connor's. I was about to say Connor's impacting Connor's, which would just let us nowhere. Yeah. He's probably making like $7.5–8 million. Like you look at Hellebuck and you look at Scheifele and what their deals are at, and your comparable that you just brought up at DeBrincat. Like, if it really impacted it, he's getting 8. I don't know. Like, I'm just ballparking, right? But you know what I mean. Like, hypothetically, he's not getting 12. McDavid just signed for $12.5. Is he $500,000 less than Connor McDavid? No. So no, I don't think it impacted personally.
I'd love to hear all the stories about teams saying this to agents now. Well, McDavid just signed us for 12.5. Are you really telling me that?
Oh, I know. And I was listening to Mike Johnson talk about it the other day. He was kind of bringing up the same thing. It's just going to be like, well, Connor did it. Why? Do you not want to win? How badly do you want to win?
Why does your client not want this team to win the Stanley Cup? I'm confused. I thought your client was more interested in winning here. Like, clearly, like Connor McDavid. You can see it going away.
That was the one thing that killed me. Not to make it a Leafs thing, but like that was the one that like killed me. Is just the quote when they asked Matthews, and he's like something along the lines, paraphrasing of like winning is all that matters to him. And I was just like, no, the dagger. What is it? Does it matter to you?
All right. We got more games on the go around the NHL this evening. The sheet is powered by FanDuel. We thank our friends there and our partners. Home of the same game parlay. Make every moment more on FanDuel. FanDuel, proud to connect fans to the major sports moments that matter to them. And for the second day in a row, we can actually talk about games, Philly. We got games.
Yes,
we got Toronto, Montreal at Scotiabank. We got Boston, Washington at TD Garden. We've got Calgary, Edmonton. We've got the Los Angeles Kings and the Vegas Golden Knights. Your first look at the regular season, Mitch Marner in action for the Vegas Golden Knights. Montembeault versus Stolar. Swayman versus Thompson. Wolf versus Skinner. I'm assuming I haven't seen Anton Forsberg faces off against Aiden Hill in that Vegas LA Kings game. LA, by the way, the jerseys look good. That was about it. That was a team that looked really scrambly last night. Like, Colorado looked awesome. And again, watch Cale Makar on that Lehkonen goal. Natchez was really good. He had a pair. But Colorado looked outstanding last night. And in turn, LA looked like they were fumbling around. And to start the season off back-to-back, Colorado and Vegas, that's a tough slog for the Los Angeles Kings. Love the jersey reveal. It was cool the way they did it. Just come out with the new look. Awesome, great. But that's a tough back-to-back to open the season. At home against Colorado, on the road against Vegas. Bam Bam could be 0-2 right away.
Yeah, I agree with you in terms of how they played 100%. I'm worried about them long term this year. Having Kopitar final year, that whole thing, and then just seeing the changes that were made defensively, I'm worried about goaltending. Can Darcy Kemper repeat what he did last year? Not too sure.
He's good. I think Darcy Kemper's excellent.
Well, I think he's really good as well, but I think last year he had a Vezina caliber, essentially. Like,
he was great.
Effectively a Vezina caliber season. I don't know that he repeats as a Vezina caliber year again. That's kind of my question. Not so much is he good or bad. I do agree with you. He's a good goaltender. Just does he go that level? Not sure. Quick thought on the uniforms. Hated the helmets. I'm sorry, LA. Loved the jerseys. Loved the unveil.
Okay,
loved the secrecy. Hated the helmets.
Okay, I was having this conversation with someone in LA last night. I like them. I like different things. Try them out. I like them. Okay, I like them. But this person said to me, how different and maybe better would it be if they had the matte black helmets?
100%.
That's what you want? You don't want the spaceman helmets?
With those uniforms? No, not with those uniforms. I don't mind them because they do the chrome helmet with the white jerseys. I think they did last year. They were the third jersey that they had. Fine with those. Those ones last night, I tweeted out. I was like, these look like they should be the villains in some like cheesy Disney hockey movie. Like, that's what those uniforms were. Like, especially when they're skating around in the dark, all I could think about was like, this was some Mighty Ducks thing, the smoke coming out. It was just the combination I didn't like. Love the jerseys, love the whole process of it. Helmets, not so much. Just a quick thing.
I don't know why you would say that. I don't know why you'd say that, Philly. The helmets speak well of you. Never smart ass response for that one. The helmets like you.
No.
Here you are blasting the helmets. They're not around to defend themselves right now.
No, I'm not.
Go ahead.
just
thought we were going to get something out of you.
Quickly here on the the schedule for tonight, the 4 games. The only thing I don't like, I got a beef here, was just with the schedule maker. The Battle of Alberta to kick off the season, I feel like it should have waited a couple of games to give the two teams something where they're coming in both just a little pissed off about something. What are you pissed off about? If you're an Oiler in that room, you're in the best spirits you could be. Ekholm's re-signed, McDavid's discount, Knobloch extended, Wallman extended. These guys are coming in. Happy and hugging. Calgary, nothing really to be upset about here yet. Make them come in owly and pissed off about something when they go head-to-head for the first time.
Don't disagree. I think for we were talking yesterday, opening night in Florida would have been real juicy if it was Tampa Bay Lightning. How big that rink in Edmonton? I remember 2006 Stanley Cup playoffs being there. This is when I was working at CBC. I was there. It was me, my producer Tracy Lightfoot, and Colleen Jones were there for games in the Anaheim series and the San Jose series. And it was the loudest I've ever heard a building. For hockey, I've heard louder buildings. Montreal, Bell Center for George St. Pierre versus Diaz. That was insane. That might have been the loudest building I've ever been at in my life. But for hockey, man, that was loud. What do you think the ovation for McDavid is going to be tonight? For those Oilers fans, what do you think that ovation is going to be like tonight? They are going to go banana sandwich when he's introduced.
Yeah. They should. They should have fireworks going off outside. There should be a flyover over the stadium. This should be full blown. This is what you're if you get late in the season and you do something where you go nuts, it's oh wow, this is embarrassing. What are we doing? It's opening night. You can do the whole shebang. Game Ops in Edmonton has probably had the busiest couple of days of their lives preparing for the party they should be having in that arena tonight. It should be above and beyond.
Will we have, I know we got to hustle here, will we have 12.5 chance? If it were Winnipeg, that would be one of the creative ones.
I would say yeah.
12.5, 12.5, 12.5. Every time he scores.
Yeah. We stink at chance in North America, though. Outside of Winnipeg,
yes, we do.
We stink
and nicknames.
At chance.
We stink at chance and nicknames. I know.
Well, I think hockey players really ruin that with the my nickname is Philly. They just cut letters off and added a Y.
Yeah. But here's the thing.
Simplicity of this.
I was nicknames used to be so much better. Like George Vezina, the Charcuterie Cucumber. Nobody said "Hey, Charcuterie Cucumber, how are you today?" Let's call him George.
Yeah.
It's a media nickname. Oh, he's the Charcuterie Cucumber, the Stratford. Hey, Stratford Streak, how are you? No.
Imagine.
Didn't work. Hey, Charcuterie Cucumber. I assure you, that was just it's just they called him in the media. All right, good stuff. Really looking forward to tonight. 4 games across the board in the NHL. Yes, hockey is back. It is a wonderful thing. Only too happy to be talking about hockey games again. Thanks to Brian Burke for stopping by as he does each and every Wednesday. Thanks to Nick Alberga from Leafs Morning Take. And thanks to you for watching. Thanks to you for being in the chat or listening on your favorite podcast platform. Please subscribe. Please like. Please leave the comments. It helps us all, and we really appreciate it. So thank you for your time, your attention. You are free to do as you choose now. Insider Show coming up, though, too. Very much looking forward to that one here at our Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. Yet another reason to subscribe. Tip your Zamboni driver on the way out. We're back tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern. Jeff Marek along with you. I hope you enjoyed the program today. If you did, or maybe even if you didn't, they can't all be gems, folks. Please hit the subscribe button. Also a reminder, every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, Johnny Lazarus, Colby Cohen, I call them the Impact Players. You might know them as a tandem that makes up the Morning Cup of Hockey. Also DFO Live at noon Eastern. This year, your host Tyler Yaremchuk alongside Carter Hutton. full day's worth of programming right here on Daily Faceoff, your favorite YouTube hockey channel. And as a reminder as well, Zach Phillips, our producer here for the sheet, said if you subscribe, he'll buy you a puppy. It's true.